everybody. It's March 24th. Would you believe it? %25 of March is gone already. Woo. All right, Epidemic. Relax a little bit. Yeah, Jimmy's here. Hello. We've got something new going on in our little world of influence. I've decided to. I got iPads everywhere. Let's turn the lights down a little bit. There we go. It's a studio, right? Always have the lights down. You gotta use screens. A little bit. There we go. Yeah. It's Monday, March 24. It's 9:54 a.m. Almost exactly. According to my Funkin' Wagnalls. One thing you can rely on is the time, because Apple is very anal about accuracy, and it's one of the world's largest companies. You take all their shares and multiply it by their stock price, it's like more than 2 trillion. I think it's crowding 3 trillion. I mean, a trillion is 1,000 billions. A billion is 1,000 millions. So it's, lots of trillions. And they've got several billion iPhones out there in the wild. Can you imagine? They remember when they sold 1, then 2, then 10, then 20, and then now it's billions. So when they update their operating system, that's serious business for a company like Apple, and for any company. But when you push a button, and of course, there are nuances for iPads and iPhones. That's why they call it iOS for the iPhones, and it's iPad OS because the iPads are generally has more real estate. This iPad happens to be coupled to one of their miraculous keyboards. And it has a magnetic mount. I'm disconnecting it. You can see right there. The back. What's this black? Has these 3 little dits right there. It lines up with 3 little dits on the back of the iPad, and magnetically it attaches very firmly. And then, of course, the keyboard is then coupled to the iPad, and it's like a touch screen computer. It's 13-inch touch screen, thin. Weighs a couple of pounds instead of 4 pounds. A pound and a half instead of 4 pounds is a big difference. Now I love my MacBook Air, which is essentially a MacBook Pro without the fans. It runs this whole show. Here we got an iPad sitting right there. Producers, throw off that other iPad. Can we do it? We're trying. There we go. Elapsed time. And then we can do. Of course we can. Of course we can't do it. It's live television. That is very strange. I'm trying to. Let's do all. There we go. You can see the elapsed time, sort of. What's that, Jimmy? There we go. So Jimmy's over on the right side over here. You can see the elapsed time over there on the over here, 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Remember, okay, this is not a news show. As I explained on one of my text messages somewhere, let's see if I can find it. I think I sent it to myself, come to think of it. Oh yeah. Where's Jimmy? God, I got all these messages from I don't know who. There it is. So here's a yeah, so you can see that, right? Let's no, that's all right. So I'll have to. I can pull it over a little bit. Oh, I know what I can do. We'll do this. Bingo. Live television, remember? Just think of us at the coffee shop. And we're just getting our coffee ready. All right, we just told our waitress what our order would be. Remember, this is the world of make-believe. So I just want to show you this now. Okay, I'll play. This is, there we go, recently saved, that works. I'm going to go full screen on this so we can look at this. Because it gives us a little definition of what I'm doing here. Number one, I thank all of you for all the well-wishing from my I'm not crowding in 80 anymore. I'm crowding 81. No. Just had a little birthday party a few days ago, 4 days ago, on March 20, first day of spring. And if you want a factoid to put in your Funkin' Wagnall, Baron Trump turned 19. When? On March 20. The same day Jimmy turned the big 80. Baron Trump and Jimmy have the same birthday, the first day of spring. Other than that, there's, he's 6'9.5", and growing a little bit. I am 5'8" and maybe even shrinking a little bit. As my, I feel good. Absolutely feel good. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for everybody's well-wishing. Birthdays are a marvelous thing. I love birthdays. The alternative is a whole lot worse. Yeah, you don't want to stop having birthdays. No. I'm just going to turn the epidemic down just a little bit. I feel like they're particularly playing loud instruments today. Yeah. I thank the medical community for looking after my health and wellness. I've had a few specialists working on my body. Yep, which has elongated my life cycle a bit. Dr. Strasser, thank you very much. World famous plastic surgeon. World famous plastic surgeons are also unbelievable dermatologists. because they deal with the skin. I was a lifeguard when I was a young whippersnapper. Spent a lot of time in the sun. He took off a little doodad right in the middle of my, right just below my Adam's apple, on my skin. A squamous cell carcinoma. He said, Jimmy, I'm interested in this. We need to take a snip of that little suture in there, just so I can remember exactly where the midpoint of this is. I have a feeling it's going to come back. You know, we need to get rid of this. I'm going to rush it. You know, there's a rush service, and which means they look at it right away and give me a report immediately. Pay an extra $1.88 because we know if this is growing, you know, if this goes the wrong way, you will not see Thanksgiving. You know what I'm telling you? It's May. I'd be saying, wrap up your affairs, Jimbo, because your life cycle is about to come to an end. But let's throw this thing out to the people with the microscopes. They'll identify it, and if it comes back what I think it is, you're going to be back here immediately, and we're going to, even though that thing looks like a pinprick on your throat, we have to take a piece of meat out of there about the size of a quarter to make sure all the peripheral cells, you know, if that thing starts to expand, you're a dead duck. He didn't say that way because, you know, he's a world famous plastic surgeon, owns his own hospital building. Yeah, very successful, very good. Yeah, he's one of those doctors that inspects the other doctors to make sure they have a you know, a lot of these these doctors, professionals, you know, have a surgery suite in their offices, so they don't necessarily have to go to the hospital all the time to, you know, do local anesthesia for removing cancer things, you know. So those doctors that have surgery suites, periodically, Strasser and a county and a state official accompany him as they call on, you know, the southern Palm Beach area. He inspects them, they write reports and make recommendations, you know. It's like a self-serving policing of their own profession, so to speak. Make sure everything is clean and snappy. Anyway, Dr. Strasser, thank you for looking after my little spots and things. I go there every 6 or 8 months and say, hey, how about this one? How about that one? I don't circle them in magic marker. I put little dits on a chart of a human body that you might see in an autopsy report. And I put the little dits on the arms and the legs as I see them in the mirror and all that kind of stuff. And how about this one? Nah, I don't like that one. How about this one? No, I'm not interested in that one. I went through 7 of them, things like that. And then I said, okay, Strasser, this is the last one. How about this one right here? He looks at it. He looks at it again. He said, I'm interested in that one. Let's I'm glad you're interested in that one. Yeah, oh boy. That's the one that was a squamous cell. Woo! Yeah, Lord Almighty. Anyway, and Dr. Jose Ordonez, world famous cardiologist in the Boca Raton community. His office is directly across the street from the emergency entrance of the hospital. I mean, literally from from the emergency entrance. You turn around and look west, young man, and you see the front door of his office. Yeah. Well, I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Ordonez when I was admitted to the Boca Raton emergency, as Marilyn dropped me off at the front door with, I had one of these cardio events. It wasn't a heart attack where you fall to the floor holding your chest and say, "Oh my God!" No, it wasn't one of those. It would have been, but my watch, my trusty Apple Watch. Oh yeah, this marvelous thing here. It buzzed my wrist and said, "Jimmy, you got a problem. You're sitting on a couch watching the news, and your pulse is 150. I don't think so. Something's wrong." So then I did my blood pressure. 200 over 100. I rapped on. Marilyn was on the patio. I said, "Marilyn, we're going to the hospital." I got my little baggie. Hurry up and get your little baggie, because we're going to be there a few hours, a few days, or whatever. So let's. Jimmy's got a problem. So she's, it's amazing. She whipped up right away and, didn't panic. I wasn't panicked. I should have been, but I wasn't. Then they stuck a thing in my arm, the IV gave me the pre-admittance people said, "Yeah, it seems like you got a problem." We did a blood test real quick. That little enzyme that shows up in your bloodstream when you've had a cardio event, that enzyme is present. Therefore, Jimmy, you've had a heart attack. I said, "I kind of figured, but you came in the very early stages of a heart attack, which is probably why you will survive this one." Many people don't. They go to sleep, they think it's the flu, they don't do the vital signs like you did. You put the blood pressure cuff on, and that's what threw you in the car, right? I said, "Absolutely." Not to mention, I had 150 pulse when I'm sitting there quietly watching the news at 6:05 p.m. And my watch says, 155 pulse? Jimmy, there's a problem. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, so if you're wondering, what this is all about, Jimmy on the microphone here. I'm sitting here. We got this little blue thing. Whoops. There's Pam Biondi. Yeah. Bondi. So I was trying to tell somebody what's going on here. I sent this to my Facebook friends. I've got 1,000 Facebook friends. And thank you very much for the well-wishing of my 80th birthday. Thank you, Dr. Strasser. Thank you, Dr. Ordonez. I have one more specialist to mention. No, shut up. Dr. Brian Bethay. He was the head surgeon that saved my fanny and did a quadruple bypass surgery. Can you believe that? That's what I needed. So they ambulanced me up to the Delray Medical Center where he practiced. He had privileges at the Boca Community Hospital, but Dr. Ordonez and I and Dr. Bethay huddled on whether he should come down here and do it on me here in Boca Regional Hospital, or should I get ambulanced up to the Delray Medical Center and let Dr. Brian Bethay do what he does up there. And we decided to go up there because his surgery team, of 5 others, are there. And if he is there with them, like where he normally does these kinds of very important operations, that's best, So he's got his coach, he's got his assistant coach, he's got his line coach, the quarterback coach, the heart attack coach, the anesthesiologist, all these. That's a big team. 5 or 6. The head nurses. That's where he works day in and day out. So Ordonez says, it's probably best, and since you can take a ride in the ambulance up there, let's do that. This is like Saturday. He says we'll truck you up there. We'll truck you up there on Sunday, and then you'll be ready for your operation on Monday morning. Okay, let's have it. Well, the ride up on the ambulance was like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You wonder why they have Velcro on the gurneys that they slip into that thing. I mean, you're going left, you're going right. Holy crap! Anyway, I survived. I survived the ride in the ambulance. I turned my head, I tried to look back at the driver, which I couldn't see. I said, "Hey, you want to slow down a little bit? Easy on the turns." I'm holding on both sides. I got the Velcro. That's stretching. Oh my God. Yeah, that was a pretty exciting part of the ride. That was like a heart check on my way. But I had a nitroglycerin drip, they call it, and I had a heparin drip. It's like the heparin is an anticoagulant kind of a thing, and the nitroglycerin drip dilates all your capillaries. A capillary is the very smallest in diameter of your plumbing, and the blood cells go through one by one. They all line up, and they slip through the capillaries. All the entire circulatory system goes down smaller and smaller and smaller to capillaries. And the cells go, the red corpuscles go through the capillaries one by one. They can't go 2 by 1. That would be a blood clot. Now, 1 by 1 separates them. They don't count them. Anyway, so the heparin drip keeps all those red corpuscles separated so they don't coagulate, which is a common problem, when you're laying, when you're horizontal for an extended period of time, wasn't sleeping all night. And anyway, they dilate all your corpuscles so that the blood fits through a little easier, and it drops your blood pressure because all the capillaries dilate a little bit. How about that? I'm using all these big words. The dilation of your capillaries. That's what nitroglycerin does. Back in the old days, if you were a heart attack patient or a person that is on heart attack watch, they'd have a little canister thing in their pocket, which they would unscrew or pop open, take a nitroglycerin pill, and you suck on it, and that puts nitroglycerin in your system, tending to dilate all your capillaries while you're on the way to the hospital. Yeah. I was lucky enough to sense my issue, do a couple of vital sign things, say, "Ugh, this is not good." So that's why I said thank you to my medical community for looking after my health and wellness. All right. So here's my story. If you're looking, to spend time with me daily as I broadcast, generally at 8:15 sharp every morning, except for today, of course. I had issues to deal with. I'm simulcasting on several social networks. Right now, this broadcast is going on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Live. My handle is the @sign. There it is. FAU4U. I got FAU on my mind because I've been on the faculty there for 20 years teaching digital photography, would you believe? Yep. Principles of digital photography and post-image processing, which is a fancy word for Photoshop. So unless they were going to pay me to promote their software, which is outstanding, by the way. I use Photoshop Express almost all the time. Photoshop is the big kahuna program for those super duper professionals that are, use some other fancy features of, Photoshop, which now, because since Photoshop Express has been in the market for such a long time, some of those really unbelievable tools, like the lasso tool, layers and that kind of stuff. See, that's in Photoshop Express now. So that makes it very nice for regular people to use and do some amazing thing with their digital photography. Yeah, well, I've been teaching that topic for 22 years now. Anyway, so if you got nothing better to do at 8:15 in the morning, every weekday morning for sure, I'm simulcasting on those 3 social networks: Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you are not a friend of mine, there are buttons you push to say a friend, and then I say, okay, you can be my friend. YouTube and Facebook and Twitter have those features, but you can search me out with the @sign, the handle FAU4U. FAU, the number 4U. You can put that in your search engine. You can put that in Google if you want, but the best thing to do is just go to YouTube directly and do a search for FAU4U. And I have about 400 broadcasts like this, and counting, every weekday. If as I finish out this year, of course it's only March 24, that would add another 270. So that would bring me up over 600. And I intend to keep doing this every morning at 8:15, unless I have an appointment or something. 8:15 sharp. And you can see these broadcasts, and just think of it like where I talk about whatever comes to mind. Think of it as like having company together with friends, at a local coffee shop. And you know what? You can text me. Privately, you can send me a text and say, hey, Stoop, what are you talking about? Send me a text. You can call me on the phone, and I can, I'll answer the phone, 416-1100, yep. And you can set me straight on the phone. If you want to be on the air while you do that, I can put you on speakerphone. Oh, yes. Yep, I can Bluetooth you right into my soundboard. There we go. I'm looking at my soundboard, making sure my levels are right. Anyway, so if you wonder why FAU, it's because I've been teaching there for over 20 years. That's, I'm very, thank you, John Harlan, for making that possible. He was instrumental in putting me on the faculty, adjunct faculty. And I've had 30 years of photography, 40 years of photography, over 20 years of digital photography, long before the professionals picked up a digital camera. They were still doing film, and I was doing digital. And they looked at me and said, "What? What? Did you what? Did you?" Yeah. They didn't have a clue. I said, you take all these pictures and you hope you got the shot. I take the pictures, I look at the back of my screen, I know if I got the shot or missed the shot. Take it over again, whatever. You don't know until you process your film, develop your film, and then print proofs and look at the proofs. That's a multi-hour process. I know instantly if I got the shot. Yeah. And I can shoot 20 frames a second. So when the ball is in the air, I can just hold my finger down on the button, and it will take high quality digital images, 20 frames a second. So it's hard not, it's hard not to catch, just as the ball ends up in the hands of the receiver. Yeah. Action sports photography. All right, so that's my little message I sent everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Yep. So I've got, the interesting thing about these days, look at that. I've got 2 iPads and let's see, let's swap cameras. There we go, I'm in the middle. I got an iPad on this side. I got an iPad on this side. Yep, there's Pam Bondi. Oh my God, Attorney General. She was Attorney General of the state of Florida. Now, the state of Florida is not exactly chopped liver. It has all kinds of demographics. It's our president's home state, because his winter residence you would call Mar-a-Lago. Oh my God, the C.W. Post estate. Can you believe it? He bought it for about $10 million, and it's worth 20 times that. It's probably $200 million today. You can pick a number. Yeah, it's a historic place. The C.W. Post estate. When she died, she bequeathed it to the state of Florida. Running out of heirs. That's not a good thing to do. You don't run out of heirs when you when you have such wealth. It's not a good thing to do. That's what Elon Musk is worried about. You guys running out of heirs. Let's go here. Screenshots. I got more iPads than I's got pickles. Yeah. Captain Kirk. Sir. Yeah. I never missed that show, I'll tell you what. Whenever it aired on NBC or wherever, at 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock prime time on a Saturday or something, oh boy. I was right there in front of my TV with a bowl of popcorn, and I love that show. Captain Kirk, beam me up, Scotty. Yeah. There's a charming fishing village. This place is like straight out of an oil painting. Beautiful places you can be on this planet. We live in sunny Boca Raton, actually. Quite nice. Had a little chat with number 4 son down here. A little family chat last night, just the 3 of us. Brendan was working at the Royal Palm Yacht Club. He's one of the 4 key chefs in that place. He's good. He's very talented, I must say. He walks into a kitchen, he just takes charge. He knows what to do. He knows how to make all the sauces. He's just got it, man. Yep. He can run the grill. He knows how to do all the stations. If the executive chef is out sick, he can take charge and keep things going until the head chef, the executive chef, recuperates if he catches the flu or whatever. But we had our first little glimpse of the Pope. Pope Francis makes his first public appearance ahead of his hospital discharge. He's like 89, I believe. He was in the hospital for like a month or 2. Had some kind of a lung infection, antibiotics, flu, whatever, and brought him back, so to speak. He's very fragile. He goes home. Went home, I guess, yesterday. Home to his apartment in the Vatican. Yeah, that's his home. So he'll be in his private residence in the Vatican conducting, Pope business. Whatever that is. I don't mean that lightly. He has, a bunch of things to do. I don't know what that is. Some of you probably do. Okay. Elon Musk is always in the news recently. Usually adversarially, because the liberal media doesn't like him anymore because Musk is helping Trump try to figure out how to get a handle on this ever expanding government, which is suffocating itself out of existence. Yeah. If it wasn't for Trump stepping in right now and shrinking the size of government instead of having it expand like some terrible cancer, and the government is actually killing itself, with a $2 trillion deficit, with 35 or 36 trillion that we've borrowed because we've sold treasury bills to China, Japan, Germany, private citizens to finance our lavish government lifestyle that is choking itself to death. So Trump is forcing the hand a little bit, and so what Elon is doing is he has a little team of 100 people. Would you believe? And all these little geniuses are running around. Yeah, it's all he has SpaceX and he has the Tesla company, and they have a building full of financial accounting kind of people, because these are big businesses, huge. So there's all kinds of money coming and going and balancing, and they need a lot of accounting talent, like any, he's got $1 trillion worth of companies. So he grabbed some of his best accountants and other smart guys, girls, and they are scouring through the books and records of the United States government, making recommendations to Elon And then Elon, in turn, makes recommendations to the executive office of Donald J. Trump. And President Trump listens to his recommendations, transmits that to the secretary of this and the secretary of that, and they make recommendations on how to optimize, the head count. That's one way of trimming government size. And so far, over 100,000 people in the United States government have elected to retire this year. So that's, if you didn't ask them to retire, they'd still be getting a check. And they're still getting a check until September 30, and that would be their last check. And Trump said, if you retire now, we'll pay you right up through September 30, and all your benefits will be intact, as you normally retire. So, over 100,000 people have taken him up on that. And so, that's hundreds of billions of dollars will not be spent, on October 1st. He's paying everybody through September 30. So he gave everybody, when it was first offered, a 9-month package, as they say in the corporate world. Yeah, they left with a package. So they leave immediately, but they get paid until September 30, so that's their package. And over 100,000 people have taken them up on that. Remember, we're sitting around the coffee. Just, you could be vacuuming the floor right now with your earpods in. AirPods. Yeah, AirPods, I think they call them. Those little white things that you stick in your ear. They work, and I have a pair that actually has a noise canceling feature to it. I have to dig through my stuff. I think it's, is it back here? Yeah, it's better. I just got back from a short trip up to Annapolis area where my daughter lives to pre-celebrate my birthday. Here's my oxygen thing. Oh, there's my there's my little aerosol thing, which I use to breathe with if I need it. Yep. Now let's stick this on my finger and see what happens. Turn that on. I'll just put it over here. Rest it on my. Yeah, look at that. You got a screen over here. We got a screen over here, and we got Jimmy in the middle. How about that? Let me show you something. I can, with our producer staff here, I can crop split. Watch that. See, now all three are separated in the middle with a black border. So you don't have as much, you kind of have to, if you're watching this on an iPad, but if you have an iPhone and you're watching this, it makes it very hard to see who the heck that is. Pamela Bondi. I think she's 59 years old. She's very experienced at being an attorney general because she was the attorney general of the state of Florida for 8 years. Would you believe it? Her face wasn't on television every other minute because she was busy doing what attorney generals do for the third or fourth largest state. We got 22 million people living in this state. We're behind Texas and California, but not far behind Texas. Florida enjoys very nice growth. The Panhandle area is almost like living in the South. All the way down in my, South Florida, it's like living in Manhattan. The buildings aren't as tall. All right, what's going on here? This thing's upside down. Let's click that again. My blood oxygen is 92. Let's click this to. I just noticed how if I hit that crop split again, bam! Look at that. Now you're filling the entire screen with stuff. Look at that. You can almost see that. It's blinking 92, which means it's changing. That thing that's pulsating, that's my pulse, and it's 70 right now. My blood oxygen just went to 93, so I put that on my finger. It should be 95, it's 93, so it's close enough in horseshoes. Yeah. Gets below 90, it gets a little, Then I have an oxygen machine sitting next to me, and there's a concentrator. So then I breathe some 95% oxygen, and that gets my saturation way up. If you don't mind, I'm going to have a little sip of coffee. Remember, we're at the coffee shop. Marvelous. Yep. So, the nice thing about this view is I can have something going on here, and I can have something going on here, and I can... These are two separate iPads. I've tricked the software. Ecamm Live, E-C-A-M-M Live, has a software program which I have loaded in my MacBook Pro Air. It's a MacBook Pro, but the version Air, which makes it a couple of millimeters skinnier than the MacBook Pro. It's got a 15-inch screen, which is about the size of the screen you see in your basic, what do you call it, Tesla. And so it's big display here. I can see what's going on. And what I see here is what you're seeing. But I like this free. So anyway, I haven't tricked the software. That's probably not a fair thing to say. I didn't trick it. But the software allows you to have like 3 different cameras. With the video, you can have 3 cameras from 3 different directions. I have one camera that's sideways. I have to turn it this way. Oh, there's Jimmy all the way over here. Yeah, I'm here live in color. But I have it this way because I'm supposed to be able to see the actual time of day over there, but that's not on right now, I'm sorry to say. So you see all my other screen because it's a 3-way display. If I produce this full screen, please. Full screen, Jimmy, please. There you go. Now you can see me. Yep, there he is. Yeah. You see my. Yeah. And I can wiggle it around here. There's some pictures on the wall. I can. There you can see a big tripod in the corner. It's like flying. Yeah. There you go. I can bend that up. Oh, there we go. That's about. You can see my professional lighting thing over there. That gives it the indirect light I need in here. I can turn that bright, and it's like it's like the sun. It's 8,000 degrees Kelvin. That's about as white as the light as you can get out of a LED light. So I can add Bondi. I can figure out. There she is. And I can add this other iPad. So now, oh yeah, there it is. And then I can keep swapping cameras. Where's swap cameras? There we go. So now I'm in the middle. Yeah, that's where I belong. You can keep shifting. So I have an iPad over here, which shows you that display. I have an iPad right in front of me. This is the one. Yeah, we just do days. I go through all these favorites. Here we go, favorites. Let's see if I can see. There we go, because I started off with this. I have a habit of starting off with this full screen mode showing March 24, Monday. So that way, when I give you an uninterrupted 30 seconds or so of Epidemic Sound instrumental, our royalty-free background music, like you're in like I say, we're in a coffee shop, and the light music in the background of the coffee shop is Epidemic Sound instrumental. Yeah, doesn't compete with the speaker, it's just hanging in there. So, Ecamm Live, ECAMM.com, ECAMLive.com has a software program which I've loaded into my MacBook Pro Air, and from there it says, hey, you got capability of having some cameras on here. I have a whole list of cameras. I could even have my iPhone here as I can make that into a camera. I guess I could have 4 things going at once. Maybe we'll try that next time. we got 3 going here. That's complicated enough. But instead of, I have the one camera. I could have my MacBook Pro Air. I could turn on that camera. I have a piece of tape over it, because if that was like a frontal view looking square at me, it would, I think it'd, it'd be too much strain on the pixels. It's not a pretty picture, looking at all the wrinkles and stuff with some 80-year-old guy. Bad enough you got to listen to me every day at 8:15 every morning. I was an hour or so late this morning because Marilyn, she went to work. Other people opened a branch this morning, so she hung around here a little longer than usual. And I'm on the air here talking with you. It's like being in coffee. And we're having a nice coffee together. There was Uncle Don Wilson and I used to have coffee, every morning for like 10 or 12 years. At the Boca Diner. There's a place used to be called the Boca Diner. It was a institution in the Boca Raton, right on Federal Highway, North Federal Highway. I'd drive up there, he'd drive up there, and he was sitting like in a booth, like across, kind of across next to me, and I'd see him sitting by himself having coffee. I'd be sitting by myself having coffee, but I have my trusty iMopad going. And so I was actually reading the newspaper, so to speak. But it was electronic newspaper. Yeah. I could read the New York Post, which is over here. I was actually, reading Flipboard, which is a software program, an app, which you can put on your iPhone, iPad, or both. And you can read the news that you want to read, from the sources you want to read them from. You decide. Yeah. That way you don't have to page through all the stuff you don't want to see. And you got all the news sources in one place. You don't have to necessarily pay a delivery service to have all this paper delivered to your front door every day. Which that would be a mess. I mean, it would be hundreds of pounds of stuff being delivered every week, as opposed to bringing it all in electronically into Flipboard. That's my news source. other than watching The Five at 5 and watching Brett Baer at 6 and watching Jesse Waters Prime Time at 8 and Laura Ingram every once in a while at 7. I watch our show. Anyway, Ecamm Live allows you to have 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras going at the same time. I have one actual digital camera going right here. Hello. Yes, hello. And instead of having 2 other cameras going simultaneously, I have plugged in 2 iPads. And when I plug in 2 iPads into I have like a port extender plugged in over here, which gives me 8 other ports. All comes through this one USB-C, goes into the iPad Pro Air version, and allows me to have 3 or 4 cameras coming in on that side port. I have 1 camera going in there, and I have 2 iPads going in there. So I have 3 video sources, and you're looking at them right there. We know what the date is. I love it. And here is, I went up to the New York Post, and you can go to the archives of the New York Post, nypost.com. You can go there as a guest, and you can go newyorkpost.com, nypost.com/covers, and it will take you to an archive page. You pick the year, you pick the month, and you'll see little thumbnails of the front cover of every edition. It's 7 days a week. So this is something you'd have to pay $2 for, like a 26-page little. That's not little. It's probably 14 inches square newspaper. It's sold right on the streets of Manhattan every day. Circulation, 15-20 million copies of this goes out every single day. I like the covers. I look at the covers. And look at this. There she got, Elon Musk volunteered to the U.S. government 9 months ago. I'll send up one of my SpaceX rockets up there with the capsule that we have developed in SpaceX, the Dragon spacecraft, if you will, that sits on top of the booster rocket, and we'll go get them. And the U.S. government said, we'll let them. We'll wait. So they were supposed to have an 8-day mission. But their capsule, made by Boeing, 2 years late, by the way, it finally blasted off this lady and the other astronaut. They got blasted up to the International Space Station. There were a couple of leaks, 4 or 5 leaks, sprung loose, with their whatever they called their capsule. The U.S. government, NASA likes to have a couple of companies like competing with each other. That in a way that kind of keeps the pricing proper. If you rely on only one company all the time, they could, start charging you too much to do the same thing, that someone else could do for less money. So they always have 2 people doing a similar thing. It's like you have a backup system in a sense, and it also keeps check on the pricing, if you will. Anyway, in a sense, Boeing lost this contest because their capsule had leaks. A bunch of geniuses looked at all the leaks, and oh my God, they had debates. If we don't let Boeing continue with their thing, but it's too risky, the astronauts may burn up in space coming back. It was only supposed to be an 8-day mission, turned into almost 10 months. because Biden and their geniuses figured, you know what, if we allow SpaceX to save them, that'll be a heck of a publicity stunt, and we're running for president, and it makes us look stupid. So we'll just bob and weave on that. Well, finally, after Trump got elected, Elon went to Trump and said, you got to get these guys out of there. It's not safe for them to be in a weightless condition for 8, 9, 10 months. Their body tends to deteriorate in a weightless situation. The heart expands, the brain expands, your eyeballs, all kinds of things start happening to you, because of the weightless. You're a human being over millions of years has developed itself by the process of elimination. In other words, the weaker ones don't live as long, and the stronger ones live longer. So, with the process of redeveloping yourself, the race has become stronger, but it's designed, the body is designed by our creators to be in a, where you live on a planet where there's gravity. Okay, when you're out in space and you're circulating at 17,000 miles an hour around the planet in an orbital, around, it's like if you have a rock on a string and you flip it around in circles. That makes a circle, and the rock, is essentially suspended. Well, that force of the rock that's pulling on your string, that's called centripetal acceleration. That's the physics term. If you're a physicist. I took all these subjects. I took a whole bunch of different things in college. Yeah, I could have done all kinds of different engineering things. Chemical engineering, yes. That's what I graduated as, chemistry. Major in chemistry, major in biology. I had a double major and a minor in math. Now tell me that is not a candidate for any damn thing you want to do. Yeah. And I ended up doing banking. Can you believe it? I never took one accounting class, ever. Oh, God. All this training. Graduated, I don't know if they do semester hours anymore. Graduated with 142 semester hours, which is, a 6-year advanced double major, a BS degree, a BA degree, with a minor in math. Unbelievable. BS, 142 hours, I think. If I remember that right. And I ended up in the banking business for 35 years. They say a line to stardom is not a straight line up. Yeah, you just don't know what kind of forks in the road you take. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I got my pads. I got a nice mug, 20-ounce mug filled with perfectly warmed coffee, hot coffee, right on my Keurig coffee maker. It's amazing. You can put all kinds of different coffee flavors and yep, I got something coming. Let's see. Do we want to show? Yeah, let's show it on this one. I got iPads everywhere. I have a clear view of this one without having to. There we go. We're going to go to Amazon.com. How about that? This is live television, folks. We're going to go to Amazon and my orders. I'm going to press that. What's coming? Here it is. Out for delivery. Yeah, it's going to be here any minute. And Amazon trucks all over the place. I'm getting Starbucks breakfast blend. Yep. Breakfast blend. Notes of brown sugar and sweet orange. I don't know what that means. There it is right there. Breakfast blend. There's the K-cup. Oops. There we go. We can expand that a little bit and kind of see that's the top of the K-cup. Then we go across. They package it. It's six boxes of 10. That's how they sell it. Costs about 50 cents a piece. So that's 60 things. You pay 28 bucks. Delivered to your door. It's not the lightest and it's not the darkest. You can see the little dit right there. That's for sissies. I don't like real hard coffee that slaps you in the face. You know, I just want a nice, easy cup of coffee. You know, I usually drink hot tea. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm one of those tea drinkers. We know what those guys are. There we go. But it's nice. That's what it looks like. That's almost what my coffee maker looks like. Except mine is I think a Cuisinart coffee maker. There you go. There's a nice hot cup of coffee with cream. She's reading a book. All our books are electronic. Because we have no more bookshelf space available. And I don't want books piled up all over the place, so you just put them in your iPad. It's a marvelous way to read a book. You can change the font, you can change the color size, the letters, you can make them a little bit bigger, a little smaller, whatever. You flip the pages just like that. It's a marvelous way of having books. You go on a cruise, all your books go right in your iPad. You don't have to load up your luggage with books. You just, these cruise ships are, connected with satellite technology for internet. So even though you're out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, whatever, you have the ability of reading any kind of things you want to read. That's it. You sit on lounge chairs, you eat, you have cocktails, you meet people on the ship, you talk. I love to talk to the bartenders on the ship. Oh my God, we made friends with a bartender who was at that bar 5 o'clock every day, man. He would set up the cocktails right on these two seats. On the Royal Caribbean line, whatever level it was. They had like 20 or 30 bars set up all over the place. And of course, I buy one of these drink all you want coupons. Yes, sir. Unlimited drinking for Jimmy. And I wasn't slobbing drunk, but if you have more than 2 cocktails a day, it pays you to buy the cocktail bonus pack, whatever they call it. And now you just show your room card or whatever. They swipe it, and they don't charge you for cocktails. Of course, I have a pocket full of cash, so I always give the bartender, a gratuity. We sit there yakking with them for a couple of hours. Then you can order things at the bar, or you can get up and go into the dining room, or go outside the ship and have a little din outside if the weather's nice. Anyway, so I'm getting myself. We have Bustelo, which is on the Richter scale. Let's go back to the Richter scale. There it is. See, we have the lightest and the darkest. Bustelo would be all the way over here. It would be right there. Yeah. Breakfast blend is right here. It's not the lightest, but if you go midst, it's left of middle. Bustelo is right of middle. So I still have we have plenty of Bustelo. Marilyn likes the deep dark roast. I am more of a Starbucks breakfast blend kind of a guy. Yeah, well, to each his own taste. So that's what it looks like in a glass mug. Ground Arabica coffee. It's just a lighter blend. You know how they do it, but it's a lighter blend instead of dark roast. It's not dark roast. There you go. That's what's coming. I went right there on Amazon.com. This is out for delivery. And I got this 10. Yeah, I got this one right here. So it's a box of 10, and it packs 6 boxes. And that's in a cardboard box. You know, packed tight. I mean, the cardboard box is fitted exactly for 6 of these 6 of these packages of 10. So it's 60. So you're getting 60 of them for $38, which makes it 65 cents a unit. You can see it right there. That's what I got right there. You see that? I'm trying to move it over for you. There you go. I'm holding my finger on the iPad so you can see it. Yep, 65 cents a piece. It's discounted, $5 or $6. Because it normally goes for $43 for this box. Getting it, and then you hit the other 10% coupon, and that saves you even more money. I didn't select the do it every month or whatever, because I want to make sure I like it. Anyway, so that's that. I also got these little doodads. It's the size of the insert that goes in the Cuisinart, and then the K-cup goes in this thing. But instead of the K-cup going in this thing, has a top, has a hinge. It's a new design there. Instead of this, where it just goes back and forth and never cracks off, they actually put a hinge on there, upgraded it a little bit. Let's go full screen on that. There we go. And the Cuisinart machine I have is this one right here. If I can show you that right there with that. That's it. That is the exact machine I got, Cuisinart. I took that tray, that brown tray underneath the cup. That comes off. So you can put a 20-ounce, this standard 20-ounce mug fits right underneath there. And this is like a thermos. It's a double-walled with a vacuum, so it keeps the coffee warm, all morning. So I get a full 14-ounce delivery of hot coffee. I put a little cream in there, a teaspoon of sugar. I'm good to go. I'm not into the pot. Where you make a whole pot of coffee and it sits on there, and after your second cup of coffee, it gets real nasty in there. The K-cup is the way to go, in my opinion, because you want a second cup of coffee, you make a perfectly fresh cup of coffee. So every time you have a cup of coffee, it's fresh. It makes it right away. The K-cup has the proper measured amount of coffee in there to make a marvelous cup of coffee. Well, embedded in that K-cup is I'm going to say a fine filter, like filter paper, like a tea bag kind of a situation. So the coffee is in like a tea bag thing. So, that lid closes down. The hot water goes and goes down through this the K-cup, and the coffee is in a tea bag kind of a thing, and then comes out the bottom of that, and that goes right into your cup, or in my case, my 20-ounce mug thing. Now this, what I got, this thing, I put loose tea in there. This is what you would use if you were making loose tea. So I put 2 scoops in there and, put it on the 14-ounce setting on the Cuisinart, and it puts the hot water through that loose tea and makes a magnificent cup of hot tea. Oh, God. It's so good. Yeah. But every once in a while, I'll have a nice cup of coffee like I'm doing right now. And I think if I have that that breakfast blend, I would probably tend to drink a little more coffee. And that way I'd switch back and forth between coffee and tea. Right now, because it's Bustelo, which is a little stronger coffee than, I'd prefer. Marilyn likes it. God bless her. She can have Bustelo. I'd rather have the breakfast blend, I think. So I'm trying it. I'm trying it with 60 of them. There you go. So there's a stainless steel super fine mesh screen inside this PBA free reusable filter cups for Cuisinart. Yep. So I've had one. It's about to go, it's about to go nighty-night. It's getting a little old. I've had it for like 5 or 6 years. It's outlived 2 Cuisinarts. Cuisinarts are good for 2 or 3 years. And then, so for $117, you just buy another one, how many years you go, 3 years is it. In June, our Cuisinart's going to be 3 years old. I'm going to clean it out and give it to our housekeepers, because maybe they or their friends would like one. Otherwise, I put it down in the in the trash room, not in the trash. Put it in the box, the new box, because I take the new one out of the box and put the old one in the box. And then I put down in the crash room and I say, hey, and I'll put on there, try me, save me. Yeah, they'll open the box and someone say, hey, I want one of those. So, they can have my old Cuisinart. I'll replace it. After 3 years, I replace it. In June, my Cuisinart graduates to 3 years old. And I'll get a new one before they stop making them, because we know where all the buttons are. It's easy. I put a little green thing on the button you push, so you don't have to. Which button do I push? You push the green button. Yeah. I put a little packing tape on top of the green button so it, all the skin oils from pushing the button over a period of 3 years, it doesn't completely louse up the little green thing. All right, there we go. With these stainless steel thing that's inserted in there, you don't need all these paper thingies, which cost 5 cents a piece or whatever. You don't need that. That's just more garbage. See? Millions of trees get cut down to make all those little coffee filters. So you don't need that. You don't need the one-time K-Cups either, because I just buy big cans, the 1 pound cans of loose tea, is like a quart container of loose tea. Yeah, and you can see the fine mesh on that thing inside. Yeah, so I have 2 of those coming. It's a pack of 2, so see. And if you have ground coffee, you can put that in there too. If you have a special ground coffee that you find in some coffee shop, and it may not be a K-Cup selected coffee that you might find in some of your boutique groceries, you can buy a bag of coffee, and you set the grind, and you walk out with a special coffee that you love the flavor of, because they let you taste it in the store. Oh yeah, let me take home a bag of that. Well, you would put it in this thing, and put it in the Cuisinart, and you can have whatever the heck kind of coffee you want. There it is, right there. How about that? You see, yeah. What day is it? Oh yeah, I got more news stories than Heinz got pickles. Anyway, this is right off of Amazon.com. Yep. There's a barista. I'm my own barista. There you go. So I bought 2 of those. Comes in a pair of them. They're about $6 a piece. The one I have is about 7, 8, 10 years old. So that is not a big expense. Well, they arrived. They're coming today. It may be $15 for 2 of them. You can get them in gray. You see that ugly gray color. You can get them in dark brown, which is what I got. Or here's like brown. Yeah, there's the brown color. That looks a little weird, right? Because the thing inside is not brown. I guess it's all right. I got black. That way, everything matches. That's why they have black, right? They have a black Cuisinart. I might replace Mr. Cuisinart with a black version. Anyway, that is coming today. You got all kinds of choices, Amazon is crazy. Whoops. Excuse me. Russian hands and Roman fingers. I just smacked my iMaphone, and it went down to the floor. I got it back. Anyway, so this is coming today. Yep. There's my orders. This is what we normally drink. Just so you can tell, because I mentioned Bustelo. There's Bustelo. Cafe Bustelo. It's like an espresso style coffee. You can see the K-cup there. Let's get a bigger picture of it. There we go. Touch it again. There we go. That is exact. So you get 6 boxes of this in a case. Same basic price, 50 to 60 cents a unit. That's exactly what the top of the Cafe Bustelo looks like. See now, isn't that nice? We're sitting here today. We're talking about coffees. Remember, I said whatever comes to mind. So we just happen to be talking about this, and I'm just telling you, if you like a really deep espresso kind of a coffee, even though it's a full cup instead of just a little espresso cup, Cafe Bustelo is. You can buy that. You can buy a single box of 10 if you want. For $9 or something. See, here's 49 cents a piece. Because they discounted at 14%. And if I order it right now, I'll get it by 2 o'clock this afternoon. Isn't that much? I mean, they got all these little Amazon trucks running around, which is kind of crazy amazing. Yep. I had, in order for me to fly, my doctor says you need a portable oxygen concentrator. I said, oh really? He said, you're grounded unless you have one of these because your blood oxygen level is like borderline. And if you get all excited on the airplane, it's a pressurized aircraft. You're up at 35,000 feet. I don't want you to go face down on the plane. You will drop dead, but, they'll be peeling you off the floor. So you need a POC. A POC? Yes, a portable oxygen concentrator. POC. The airport people call it a POC. It goes through the X-ray machine and, that's a POC? No problem. Come right this way. Really, I mean, they're really quite nice for people like me. So let me show you what is it called? It's called Inogen. INOGEN E. There it is, G5. Now, can you believe this? So with the Energen G5, which looks just like that in its in this little bag that it comes in, this is actually the cartridges that plug in underneath inside the G5. There it is right there. You can buy one of your very own for about $3,200. Okay. But if you have a United Healthcare healthcare insurance with Medicare, it costs you $24 a month, and the insurance pays the 80%, you pay the 20%. Your healthcare provider, in my case, Lincare, provided the G5. Okay, and it's I was going to say it's not lightweight. It's actually it weighs about 4 pounds, 2.8 pounds, 3.5 pounds, something like that. And it delivers, 95% oxygen, about 1.5 liters per minute flow, if you will. You can see a slideshow that's going on here. Let's get that a little bit. This is not an Energen. This is somebody else's, but it looks pretty good. I like it when they show you what's inside. And I take everything apart. The display, like you see the display on top, it's like all these machines have the same display on top. Yeah. So you can see what's... Anyway, so the one thing I had to do is I had to get one of these high capacity... See, this says 8 cell. I needed a 16 cell battery, and that cost a couple $100. So a couple $100 upfront expense, because you need the long-lasting battery, because according to the FAA requirements, if your doctor prescribes for you a POC, a DME POC. What's a DME? Durable medical equipment. Come on, we have to keep up with our acronyms. Yep. POC is a DME. That's a test question. Is a POC a DME? Yes or no? The answer is yes, because a POC is a DME. A portable oxygen generator is a piece of durable medical equipment. So when you call your supplier, like in Lincare, you say, sir, I'm shopping for a DME, a POC. Do you have any POCs? Portable one that I could take on an airplane? Oh, let me show you right this way. And they're going to show you a G5 or an equivalent. But see, Amazon even provides this right here. Darn it. All right, there it is. There it is. It looks just like that. I've already removed the one I have, just to see how convenient and easy it is to remove. The one that's in there, that comes with it, of course. So this is a $140 item, see? It takes a couple of days to get it from Amazon.com. And, if you just got your G5, for example, you don't... see, here's something frequently bought together, this little package. Here is the long-lasting battery. Yeah, there you go. I have one of those. So, in a sense, I got two batteries, because the G5 comes with the 8-cell battery, This is the 16 cell battery. Costs a couple $100. There you go. See this lady outside in her garden? There we go. Touch it one more time. See this little thing hanging on her shoulder? That's it. And she's got this thing in it. Now I'm one of these patients that occasionally needs it. Okay. Sometimes, and it's not all the time. It's like, some days you're, a little stronger than you are other days. No matter what age you are, some days you get up in the morning and you really feel invigorated and all that stuff. And other days, not so much. So if I'm in one of those days where it's not so much, and I take the trash down to the trash chute, which is exactly 70 steps. I walk out my front door, make a right turn, and walk until there's no more place to walk. That's about 70 steps. You open up the door to the trash chute room. You take your bag of trash, put it down the chute thing, and then you walk the 70 steps back to your front door and walk in. Now, if it's not one of my best days, I'll be, it's like I ran around the building 3 times. You're kind of out of breath. Well, that's when your blood oxygen goes down a little bit. So if you ran around the building 4 times, and you're 35 years old, you'd probably be winded. That's what I would call winded. It doesn't mean you're going to pass out and drop dead. It just means that your lungs, you're breathing real hard and real fast because you're oxygenating your lungs because your muscles, have burned up all the oxygen that's floating around in your, connected to your red corpuscles. The oxygen molecules hang around, get attached in your hemoglobin, using some of these biology terms. You've heard these terms. I'm just putting together in hopefully an intelligent way. So if you're 35, you ran around a building 3 times, you're winded. Winded means that your muscles, which were used extensively to help you run around a building, right? Your leg muscles, your back muscles, all kinds of muscles get used when you run around the building 3 times. This big building we live in, which is like a city block. It is. It's like a half a city block. Yeah, it would be a half a city block. Because it's not square, it's a rectangle. But it's a full street from one end to the other, and a half a street behind us. Anyway, so you'd be winded, which means all your muscles, need to get oxygenated because you ran around the building 3 times. So you're breathing heavy, like that. That's winded. Okay. Well, when you're sitting on the couch and you're winded, that means your blood oxygen is probably 78, okay, on this scale thing here. This little thing costs $20. Put it in your pocket, and if you feel winded, stick this on your finger and see what your blood oxygen level is. If you have an Apple Watch Series 8 and 7 or 6, the blood oxygen comes right up on your Apple Watch. Not Series 10. Series 9, 8, 7, 6, yes. The federal court system, Apple lost a lawsuit, which they're appealing, by the way, on the sensor and the design and use of the sensor that's in the Apple Watch to deliver your blood oxygen results. Apparently infringed on a patent that someone else held somewhere else on the planet. I'm just going to say England. but it's overseas somewhere. I forget the country. It's irrelevant. Anyway, there was a lawsuit that was brought against Apple, and Apple lost the lawsuit. Now, Apple thinks that was a miscarriage of justice. So they want another bite at the apple, so to speak. Apple wants another bite at the apple in the legal community, and they're in the appeals process right now with the company that they supposedly infringed on their patent of. Well, two geniuses thought of the same thing at the same time, but one of them filed the patent first. I don't know all the ins and outs of the litigation, but at this point, the international court, whatever international court supervises what I'm talking about, has put an injunction, let's say, on Apple. Says, naughty, mustn't do until this litigation is fully resolved. You shall not sell any more Apple Watches using this technology. Now, if you win the appeal, we're likely to lift the stay, and you can continue selling your technology, if you will. But until such time as this gets fully litigated, you must stop. So they stopped. So their Series 10 watches, guess what? No blood oxygen level. So guess what? I paid $20 and got one of these little portable jobbies, and every once in a while, I'm going to put it on my finger again. I pushed the button by mistake. All right, you just stick it in there. When you go to a hospital, they stick this thing on, and there's a wire, and it goes onto that display, above your shoulder that the doctor looks at when he walks in the room. Hello, Mr. Wilson. Your blood oxygen sucks. Yeah. So, they put this thing around your nose, and they plug it into the oxygen source. And there we go. Look at that. My blood oxygen is 98. See, now that's good. You can see that. Let me carefully move it over here. Whoop, excuse me, 93. 93 and blinking, which means it's going to change. Oh, just went to 92. So if I sit quietly, it goes to 98. If I don't sit quietly, it goes to 93 or 92, which is acceptable. It gets below 90. It gets below 70, then you may go flat on your face. You might pass out, and hit your head, and boom, you're dead. Potentially. Anyway, so when you get a little older, you have to monitor all this crap and make sure you don't put yourself at risk. Anyway, so portable oxygen concentrator. This guy's got it in a backpack. Right there, you can see it. It's an Inogen backpack. For $100 or so, you can have one of your very own. I don't think so. It's got it comes with a bag and a handle on it and a strap. So if you want to carry it on your shoulder, you can. It does not come with a backpack. You have to pay extra for that. Whoops. Yeah, I have this right here. Just like this lady got. That's what I got. Back spur. You see the little tube comes out, and you can put it on your nose. You can just hold the tube up to your nose. You don't have to stick it around your ears and all that. Now there may come a time where my lung capacity is so diminished where I need to wear that all the time. If it comes to be, that's not now. I am like on the borderline of if I fly, I need the big battery. There it is. Take charge of your mobility. Weighing just 2.1 pounds. That's the 16-cell battery. And that makes that whole device, about 4 pounds total weight. Yeah, the machine and the big battery. But it will last, see, up to 12 hours. So if you're on according to FAA regulations, I started this sentence before and got sidetracked. Circling back, to the battery has to last for the 3-hour flight to get to Washington, number one, plus 3 hours, because that's the time period the FAA permits an airplane to sit on the runway in case you're delayed in taking off, or you're delayed in taxiing over to your debarkation gate. So that's 6 hours, plus a half hour getting on the plane, half hour getting off the plane. So the battery needs to be a 7 or 8 hour battery. Well, unfortunately, the battery that comes with it's only good for like 5 hours. So you have to get the extended battery. Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is. And then, even if you have a 3-hour delay and you have the 3-hour flight, you're good to go with this, because it delivers, 95% oxygen. Every time you breathe in, it gives you a little spurt, 95% oxygen. So the net effect is, instead of just breathing, remember your atmosphere has 20% oxygen, 80% nitrogen. Now it's not exactly 20-80. 80 plus 20 is 100, right? There's about 1/10 of 1%, a few other, gases that are in there. But just to keep the math simple, it's about 80%, 20%. So this oxygen concentrator basically takes the nitrogen out of the input of the device, so that the oxygen that comes, the gases that come out of the other end of this machine, has a higher concentration of oxygen than just the 20% that you breathe in, which is your normal atmospheric level of oxygen that's available on the planet. Right? The birds and the bees and the trees, the underneath of the green leaves, they expel oxygen. They inhale CO2 and exhale oxygen. That's what a leaf on a tree does. So that's why you want to keep your forests, because all that greenery puts oxygen in the atmosphere, which is what we breathe, right? Well, this oxygen concentrator gives you 95% pure oxygen, which, you can hold that tube up to your nose and just breathe in a little pure oxygen, which then settles everything down. Yep. That's what the POC does. The portable oxygen concentrator. Anyway, so that was a big project I had to solve, or else I couldn't fly up to have a little birthday party with my daughter and their friends and some of our family. Yeah, there we go. My watch is now fully charged. It's March 24th. All right, so let's put this on. My trusty Apple Watch. I have a super fast charger here, which will charge this sucker up in about 20 minutes or so. So while I was yakking with you guys, I charged my watch. And on this, I can see that green bar? That tells me that I have 217 miles of range in my Tesla. Only in America can you look at your watch and see what the fuel level is in your vehicle. If you have two vehicles, it'll show you both green bars. But I just have one of those. Look at that. The Apple Watch, you can do an ECG. you can do an electrocardiogram right through your Apple Watch. And you just put your finger right on the crown of the watch. You know, the thing like the dial. And that little guy right there, you put your finger on that, and in 30 seconds you can see your EKG pulsing right in your Apple Watch. You can produce a paper copy of that because it does a 30-second sample of your ECG, electrocardiogram. Yeah. When the last time I went to my doctor, I brought a printed page of my ECG. Of course, they always run a fast chart on you if you went to your cardiologist. If you go to your primary care physician, which I just had my annual visit with my primary care doctor, Dr. Thomas Lubin, good man. And he takes care of all my prescriptions and this and that. He wrote the prescription for my POC. That's the first time I needed a DME. That's the first time I needed durable medical equipment. And in this case, I needed a POC rather than something that's on casters that runs around in your in your house. That's a durable medical equipment, but it's not portable. I mean, it runs around on wheels, but weighs 40 pounds, and it's the full size of a suitcase, but it doesn't run on batteries. So that wouldn't. You could take it with you if you needed it, wherever you're going. You'd have to go and check bags. But you need the POC because you need the oxygen while you're flying. Yeah. Or else I would have been grounded, which we didn't want that to happen. All right. Just in case, you see right here, this is up close and personal. Look at that, with my second iPad. I'm showing you the new watch, OS 11.3.1. You need this because it's going to take care of some security patches and a couple of bug fixes. So they're telling you, make sure you do this update. Yeah, there's the graphic I pulled off the internet. Story written by Roland Hutchinson. So, we have stuff going on. This is an interesting story. Written by Noreen Marcus. This came from FloridaBulldog.org. She wrote this story. It's good. The Florida Supreme Court is dealing with the ABA, the American Bar Association, and the Supreme Court of the state of Florida is dealing with this diversity business. Now I'm kind of neutral with all this, Look, if you're black, white, yellow, green, I don't think we have any green people running around here, but, the bar, the Florida bar, every state has their own bar association. There's an American Bar Association, and the American Bar Association is a body. It's a committee of lawyers, experienced, seasoned, I'm just going to say 65-year-old lawyers that have been in the law business all their lives, right? You go to undergraduate school, then you go to law school for 4 years, like medical school for 4 years, and you learn how to practice law, right? Well, for you to practice law in the state of Florida, you need to you need to pass the Florida bar exam, okay, which is a state test that one takes after graduating law school, so you can practice law in the state of Florida, which means you can give people legal advice and charge a fee for it, get paid for it, and you're licensed to practice in the state of Florida. I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of Florida, which means I was a salesman for a real estate salesperson, a properly licensed real estate salesperson, which you have to pass a test for. It takes you 6 or 8 weeks to go to school so you can pass that test. 50% of the people that take that test fail that test. The other 50% pass that test. So once you pass that test, then you can start selling real estate and collecting a fee for your real estate services in the state of Florida. All right. After you've sold real estate for a few years, I think it's 2 in the state of Florida, then, that's a test question, you can go back to school and learn how to be a real estate broker. So the real estate salespeople work for real estate broker people. So that's like a level up, you know. It's not lawyer, but it's a real estate broker. You have to take 6-8 week class in order to have a chance of passing that exam. 50% of the people that take that exam fail that exam. The other 50% pass that exam. They say, oh, that broker test is really a hard one. You know, if you read the material, and you know, there's a book about that thick you have to read and understand, because there are a lot of test questions. You know, as a matter of fact, there's a class you can take that has nothing but test questions. You know, and it's a 1 week, 8-hour a day thing, and they do nothing but go over test questions. Oh my God, there's like 1,000 test questions. I mean, literally. And you go over and over and over all these test questions. But it gets you warmed up, so, then you go take, they're not actual test questions because they never actually you're not allowed to take the test book out of the exam area. It's all like electronic. So, you don't actually have a piece of paper that you can walk out with. And after you leave the place where you take the exam, there's no scraps of paper to take with you. So what they do is they ask if they have some people that are on the outside of the exam area, and they pay some people a fee if you'll sit down with a yellow pad and try to write out the questions, any of the questions that you can remember that were on the test. Could you just write out? So if you give them enough test questions that you can recall that you just took the test of, they'll give you a pat on the back, or I don't know what they give you, but maybe you just, so that's how they come up with these test questions. That's one of the ways. Anyway, getting back to the story. The Florida Supreme Court, Supreme Court of Florida. That's a serious place to be. The Supreme Court of the United States, well, this is the Supreme Court of Florida. Pam Bondi is very familiar with the Supreme Court of Florida because it deals with all the laws of Florida. When you're the Attorney General of Florida, Attorney General, that means you be the head attorney in the state of Florida. The general, there's only one. The Attorney General of the state of Florida. She was that person for 8 years. So she understands, the laws of the state of Florida and knows how to behave as an Attorney General. That's why Donald Trump said she would make an outstanding Attorney General for me as the United States Attorney General. And guess what? Pam Bondi is the Attorney General of the state of Florida. Anyway, there's a case before the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court of Florida, dealing with the ABA, and how they deal with diversity and all that. And the way Trump is feeling, and the way the Attorney General of the United States is feeling, and the way the Attorney General of the state of Florida is feeling, we want the bar exams to deliver the best lawyers possible, with no, yellow people don't get, some special dispensation. So even though you may not be the best, you still slip through. Now that's diversity. That's what that diversity thing is. We're going to consider what color your skin is instead of just being the best. That is the essence of all this diversity business. Because the diversity is basically, because you're black, and because 150 years ago, black people were slaves in the United States. Back in, all our forefathers had slaves. That's just the way it was back then. It's not right in the way we feel right now. No one should be able to own another person. Well, back then, you had servitude, and a lot of these, our forefathers, had 5, 10, or 20 slaves. They may have worked the farms that they owned. And they pay them, just enough to get by, but, they didn't have like minimum wages back then. They didn't have, the society was not quite that precise, 200 years ago. So, anyway, so we've come full circle with that. A lot of people that come into the United States, their skin is dark, but they're not ancestors of USA slaves. All right? They're just black people that came up, through the northern coast of Africa, and then, got in the European continent, if you will, and grew up, had babies, went through 8 or 10 life cycles, and, you got black people all over the planet, right? Not necessarily, all black people didn't come up through servitude, through, the American Continental Congress, so to speak. So anyway, we're year 2025, and we're trying to flush out all this diversity business to make everything, if you swim the fastest in the Olympics, you win. They don't care what color you are. If you swim back and forth, whatever number of times it takes for your 100-yard swim or your 400-yard swim or whatever, the swimming is, or running or whatever, the one who swims the fastest wins the gold medal. That's, they don't have a separate, thing for people that have white skin or dark skin or yellow skin or whatever. It's whoever does the fastest wins. That's it. And remember, if you're a girl, you have to have a birth certificate that says female on it. You can't be a male that decides you want to be a female after birth. No. If your birth certificate at birth says male on it, you are not permitted to compete in women's sports. Trump has kind of put his foot down on that. It was a campaign thing. I mean, that's like common sense, right? You can't have men in girls' sports, because women and boys and girls are built, their bodies are different. Yeah. So that's what's going on there. See all these pictures? This is what keeps me. Here's a sad story. former Mia Love. I don't know if you remember Mia Love, a very outspoken black Republican. My God, that's a there's a diversity of words. There is a black Republican? Oh my God. Yeah, there sure is. Her name was Mia Love. She was the first black Republican to be elected to Congress. She died yesterday of brain cancer at the age of 49. Much too young to die. There's a picture of her. Yeah, she was very interesting to talk to. She quietly passed away with family members yesterday of brain cancer. Yeah. I was too young to die since I hit my 80th birthday. Someone like her, she should have lived to 100. She was a smart lady, and she's black, and an inspiration for millions of other blacks around the world, much less the United States. And she got elected to Congress because she was good, and she beat out, the people that ran against her, if you will. And it happened to be the first black Republican, to be elected to Congress. Yeah. Well, she passed away yesterday, sorry to say, at the age of 49. I'm just looking through some of my pictorials here. There's old Elon, he keeps on getting picked at. So because, all the lefties, the climate people, they're so worried about, and we all should be worried about our climate, no question. But we can't put ourselves out of business. We have to gradually get smart about our climate, rather than just pull the plug all of a sudden, because then all our businesses go out of business, and our society gets impaired terribly. So we have to gradually, do things, like Elon Musk and his tribe of amazing engineers have created a battery, a non-diesel, tractor trailer. When they step on each other and this big black soot comes out of the exhaust pipe, that's what ruins our atmosphere. We have to breathe that air, God darn it. So Elon and his band of engineers have come up with a charging system and a fuel electric operated tractor trailer. No big plumes of black smoke. And he has a factory that he's just finished completing, which will produce one diesel tractor trailer every 5 minutes. Another one will come out of the back door of the plant. Every 60 seconds, a Model Y comes out the back door of the plant. This is now news. This is real news. This is truth. Truth telling. So, and there's Elon Musk and his band of engineers have produced, thousands, tens and thousands of charging stations. So if you don't live in a house where you can have a dryer, if you plug your car into a dryer plug, you all have electric dryers, not all, but many people have electric dryers. That's a 230 volt, 40 amp service. Okay? It has a plug, looks like a crawfoot. Tesla makes a plug that fits in that socket, and then you plug that in the back end of your car, and you charge your car. You'll fully charge it overnight, and you'll have 300 miles worth of range in your fuel tank. No fumes, no exhaust. Plug it right into your dryer plug. Now, if you really get married to the Tesla, thing, where the husband and wife each have Teslas, you can hire an electrician to put that dryer plug, not move it because you're going to plug your dryer back in, but you can put another dryer plug out, in your garage somewhere, so it's more convenient for you to just plug in there. Have a separate 50 amp circuit so that you and your wife can charge your cars up overnight. So it's nice. You leave your driveway every day with a full tank of fuel. Let's just call it fuel, because people don't understand how you have a full tank of electricity. Yeah, the terms don't mix very well. So let's just say you plug in overnight and you'll have a full tank of fuel. Your fuel tank is full. Gives you up to 300 miles in range. Now, most people don't drive 300 miles every single day. Orlando, for example, is about 300 miles away from here. So, in theory, we could drive our Tesla from here and get to Orlando, and we would still have a little fuel in our tank, to spare. But on the way, that's quite a drive. You might have to go pee-pee and the pop-pop. Well, if you stop at one of the turnpike stops, or anywhere along I-95 pretty much, when you get off the interstate, there's a Tesla charging location where you can just plug in and pay through your credit or debit card or bank account that's already registered in your Tesla, and you just plug in and unplug. You don't swipe your card or anything, because all that information is already in your Tesla computer. Particularly if you have a lease, that's how they, you pay your lease every month, it automatically hits your account. Well, that would be the same account that would be used if you added fuel to your fuel tank at a Tesla charging spot. Incidentally, I read a report where it costs about $43,000 for each of those charging stalls, with the plug that you plug in the car. It costs $43,000 per charging stall, per thing, charger. That big thing, the red and white thing with the hose coming out of it that you plug in the back of your car. That device and the electric circuits that are necessary to fill up, because, that'll fill up your car in about 15 minutes. So and they put those stations so you can you plug in your car, and then you go into Starbucks or whatever and order a coffee, go to the bathroom, relieve yourself, and by the time you get back to your car, it's full, because it takes 10 or 15 minutes, to walk over to Starbucks, stand online for a couple of minutes, get your coffee, go to the bathroom and freshen up, say it that way, and then you walk back to the charging station, which is 2 or 3 minute walk back to the car. So when you added all those couple of minutes here and there, your battery's full. You have a full, your fuel tank is full. So then you just get in the car and drive off. Your car, your debit card has already been charged, if you will. The cost is about double what the charge would be is if you just plugged it in your own circuit in your house. Which is still half the price of gasoline. If you fill it up in your driveway, and you keep filling up in your garage all the time, those residential energy charges are about half of what you would pay if you filled up your fuel tank when you're on the highway on a long trip, which is still half the price of gasoline. If you fill it up in your own driveway, it's like 25% of what it would be if you had gasoline. Anyway, since Elon Musk is a big hero with all those people, because it's green, right? Even this image looks a little green. But now that he's kind of like Trump's best buddy, oh yeah, now he's evil. The evil empire, oligarchy. Yeah, I mean, these liberals, they're just nuts. They don't have, they're negative on just whatever. They don't have any ideas of their own, unfortunately. They used to be idea people, they're not anymore. Now they're just anti-Trump people. Well, that's annoying. That doesn't help society any. Anyway, let's get back to the fuel efficiency of the Tesla. Here's my car. 209, look at that. See, 209 miles worth of range. You see, there's my phone number with Wilson there. Model Y. That's the car we have. It's actually black instead of red. I colored it red in the application that you can download into your iPhone, which I'm showing you right here. This is real. We just did an update on the software, which they tweak and make it better. This is the second week. See 25.2. That means in the year 2025, in the second week of 2025, Tesla came out with the software package of version 12. Anyway, I'm going to click that little caret right there. And what did it do? It updated the data sharing capability of the car, which means that your driving data, whether you had an accident or not, and all this kind of stuff, all that information goes back to Fremont, California, into their huge server things, because they got millions of these cars riding around all over the planet, industrialized planet, and it's connected by the internet to Fremont 24/7. So all the driving data, all the fill-up data, all the mileage data, all that kind of stuff, including video clips if you got into an accident, which we haven't, all that data goes up into their servers. Remember, there are millions of cars. There are millions of these Tesla cars. They've been selling them. They've been developing them and selling them for, 13 years, I think. It's 12 or 13 years. So, camera visibility detection. This is an update release note. See release note? That's a software release note. So at the end, when you drive from here to there, an alarm, not an alarm like a bam, bam, a thing, a caret would come out on your display screen in your Tesla car, and it would say, you need to wipe off your cameras because they're so dirty. There are 7 cameras around the car, 2 on each side, 2 in the front and 1 in the back. That's 7 of them. So this will give you some alarm information that your visibility on your camera, you got a piece of mud on some of the cameras. So come out with a little paper towel and just wipe off. You can see exactly, Tesla drivers know exactly where the cameras are. They're on right near the front fender, and the column between the front and rear window. There's a camera shooting sideways from that point on both sides. Plus there's a camera on the left and right front fender looking sideways, to clear up your dark spots where you can't, blind spots, unless you look all the way left and all the way right, it's blind spot. Well, you got cameras on each side, so if you start to steer a little bit, and there's a car over there, you'll see a red thing come over on the side of your big screen. That sticks out in your face, so you whoop. That's a blind spot. Save your rear end thing. That's the nice thing about having 7 cameras in 7 different directions. You've got 2 eyes looking basically forward. You don't have a camera in the back of your head. But the Tesla does. Minor updates, minor fixes, and performance enhancements have been applied to your system. And the update includes important security fixes so that, bad guys can't commandeer your car. They're very security conscious because, Tesla has a big fleet of cars, and you don't want bad guys stealing the cars. So they are really buggy careful to make sure, bad guys can't crack the software. In this version 25.2, which is the update that just was installed in my car Saturday afternoon, there are third-party companies that are making fast chargers that'll charge Teslas. So this software update allows for the preconditioning of your battery in preparation for pulling up to a third-party charger, not just a Tesla charger. The automobile industry as a whole is delighted that Elon has made it possible for all other car manufacturers that are going to build electric cars may charge at Tesla charging stations, because it's the biggest network on the planet right now. He started putting this network together like 6-7 years ago, back when no one was noticing, so to speak, except for Tesla drivers. Well, now everyone's interested, yeah. Okay, now there's another little enhancement. When you shift into reverse, which is of course electronic, a warning will sound and a red icon will pop up like it looks right here, to be careful because there's something behind you. Watch out. Remember, you don't have eyes in the back of your head, so in case you don't turn your head all the way around, you got a stiff neck, or you're just lazy or stupid, there's a camera behind you in the car that'll make noises and flash red if you're about to back into something or somebody. It could be a person that ran behind your car. It could be a big dog, So instead of running over said dog or running over said person or bashing into something else like a wall or whatever, or a car behind you, a light will flash and you'll have a car that looks like that, giving you a warning. You're about to run into something behind you. Yep. That's a nice important thing. Up until Saturday, that was not available. It was actually available a week before that. It just took me a week to get the software loaded in the car because we live in a structured parking garage and we don't have internet in the garage, so I have to turn on my personal hotspot on my iPhone. So when we went to Flakowitz yesterday, on Saturday, we went to Flakowitz Saturday morning, and on the way to Flakowitz, I turned on my personal hotspot, which is a Wi-Fi, and connected my Tesla car, to the personal hotspot, so we could download the software package into its memory. And then once all that software was downloaded, it says, would you like to install the software version 25.2.8? And I said, yes, and then it gives you a 2-minute countdown to get out of the car and lock the car. And then the car will be out of business for about a half hour. Because when it's updating that software, you can't drive the car. So it says, are you sure it's okay to install this software? Because you can't use your car for the next 25 minutes. And I said, yes, sirree, Bob. And then the 2-minute countdown started. And in a half hour plus 2 minutes, the software automatically starts to update itself. Yep. Okay. I'm showing you the release notes of the new Apple software update. Just mobile app dash cam viewer. They made it possible for you on your iPhone to actually see what the cameras see. If someone was, if you had your car locked and you have Sentry on, all the cameras are watching in a low power mode. And if someone starts to louse around with your car while you're not there, it records their every movement. Yeah, video. And you could turn that over to the police and have said person, arrested and fined or imprisoned or whatever. Because if they damage your car, you could prosecute them to try to recover the damage that they did to your vehicle. Well, it's your vehicle, you paid for it. So you can watch and save the dash cam Sentry mode clips directly, into your phone. Those clips are in the computer, in the car, and now you can view them and download them into your phone, save them, and give them to your insurance company or the police themselves. You have to have the application. There's an app that you have in your phone, the Tesla app that they designed. You download that into your phone when you buy the car, and the version of that software app needs to be 4.39.5 or higher with the premium connectivity option selected, which costs you $10 a month, of course. That gives you all the driving data. So when you look at your map in your Tesla, all the driving data, accident data, and all that kind of stuff is in your car, so that if you're going from point A to point B and there's an accident on the way, it can divert you somewhere else, so you can hop off the highway and go around the accident. See, that's what it looks like. See the red bar? That's all stop and go traffic for 10 or 15 blocks. So you can avoid that. It'll route you around that traffic jam. That could be a 30-minute. The whole highway could be turned off while they pick up bodies all over the highway. Whatever. I'm making that up. Now we have the precipitation map and weather data that now can be loaded into your mapping system in your car. That would be new. You can now view the precipitation in your area directly on your vehicle's map. Now there's, see that red? So that's a view. That's your rear camera when you're backing up, and you can see there's a car on the left side of that panel. It's just emerging, and if you were backing up fast, you could whack right into that car. Well, right now it's showing that red little bar on the left side of that screen because there's a car approaching you on that side of your car. So slow down, let him pass by, and you'll see the car go right in front of you. And then you can back up and get out of your parking spot. So they now have all that alert systems with the rear camera. I mean, the rear camera has always been there, but it was it was used for Tesla purposes, not necessarily your purpose. Now they've opened up that camera so that it'll give you an alarm, and one of the alarms is that red bar. If a car was coming from another direction, the other side of that image would glow red. Yeah. So that's a new feature with the rear view camera. There's Tune In is another Tune In radio function that you can listen to when you're driving. In addition to watching Fox, having the Fox News channel come through while you're driving, you can keep tuned in with the news. CNN's already there. As you can see, MSNBC has been there. ESPN is on there. And so is the Fox News Radio. Which is, Fox News Radio is a broadcast where it's a 15-minute broadcast. And then every 15 minutes, that broadcast gets updated with new information. Someone just tried to call my iPad, if you're wondering what that disturbance was. The iPad is connected to the internet, and the data line is actually, a phone number, because the internet, goes right through the cell system, if you will. And that's the way the Apple system is set up, so that every iPad has a cellular data number. I'll show you. I'll go to Settings, I'll go to About, and if we look at the About page all the way over on the right side, the cellular data number, see that right there? Last four digits is 8930. You can't quite see it on here because it's not a full screen mode, but I can make it full screen mode. There it is. We're going to make this full screen. There we go. You see, there's the data line number. See, carrier AT&T, their modem is version 63. Software runs the world. It runs the iPads anyway. There's my 13-inch iPad. See in the very top, JW 13-inch. There's an Apple. I put that in there. iPad Pro, the 2024 version with an M4 chip. Yeah, my old iPad died. I had insurance. They replaced it with a new one. Thank goodness. That was $35 a month insurance premium, well worth it. Because my iPad, my original, I had it for 4 or 5 years. It died, and these guys replaced it. I have Apple Care now, which takes care of my iPads. You can see I have a 1 terabyte storage capability. You see 1T? That's 1,000 gigabytes. I have 346 gigabytes available. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's come up here. Let's see. I've been on the air 2 hours and 29 minutes. Wow. I'm probably 2 hours. That's 12:21. It's time for lunch, isn't it? You've been sitting around here drinking coffee with me all morning. Well, morning's over. I think I've talked about all kinds of topics. I'm sure some of you learned something, right? I've been a teacher. I've been FAU faculty for 20 years, and as you can tell, I can talk and talk. Oh my God, look at these guys. 8 years ago, they're listening to some conference thing. All right, as you can see, that's our elapsed time, and we're gonna go bye-bye for now. And the way I go bye-bye is the way I always go bye-bye, is I pick up my screenshots And I always end, like this is Monday the 24th, right? So I go full screen there, and then I play Epidemic, and I stop talking, and which I'm going to right now, because this program is coming to an end. If you had something you wanted to ask me, you can send me a text question. Text to 561-416-1100, and I'll answer the text. Otherwise, you can text me anytime, day or night. My students do it all the time, so that phone is like a public access phone. I get all kinds of questions. That's all right. It's better to have a silly question than silly results. So go ahead and ask me whatever you want to ask. I'm 80. I know every damn thing. I don't, but I know a lot of things, I'm told. Yeah. I read a lot. I pay attention. Yeah. I'm one of these right-of-middle conservatives. Everybody that needs help should get it. But people that don't need help should not get it. That's how I think. That's how everybody should think. You know, you need a free lunch. God bless you. Our society can afford to give somebody a free lunch if they need a free lunch, or 2 or 10 or 20 or 100. But if you don't need a free lunch, then you shouldn't have your hand out. You should get a job and be productive in our society and stop living off the rest of us. If you need help, God bless you, we're going to give you help. Now that's my entire political speech. And that's the way it is. And that's largely how the administration changed, because people were taking advantage of the last administration. People were getting stuff they don't deserve to get. You know, and people that work hard for what they do shouldn't have to pay for people because they're lazy. You know? You should get rewarded when you do good. You shouldn't be rewarded if you don't do good. Alright? Those are the kind of things I was taught when I was a little whippersnapper. Alright, on that happy note, you're going to get Epidemic in full force, and I'm going to stop talking, I promise. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow at 8:15. Tell your friends. They may like to join in on our little coffee clutch.